Well, on the renewable side, clearly the scale of building up of the solar complex, more so, I think wind is a little less, but solar is very big, 100 gigawatts and so on. That's the sort of medium-term plan to move away from fossil. But transportation is basically entirely dependent on oil, and so 85-86% of oil is imported. We do have a pretty large seam on the eastern offshore, which stretches from Bangladesh to Sri Lanka. But it's very expensive to extract. So if prices are at 80 plus, maybe close to 100, that is economical. But prices below that, it's not very it's not very attractive. So I think the emphasis then has to shift to demand side, more efficient use of the transport infrastructure, more efficient use of the transport fleet. And the GST is actually going to be a big contributor to that, because you're going to reduce transit times, you're going to reduce wait times. The average speed on highways is going to go up perhaps by a factor of 2 if you take sort of point-to-point time of passage. And all of these will actually contribute structurally to a reduced fuel intensity of your infrastructure, of your transport fleet. So a combination of factors. I mean, this is too large a problem to address with one single instrument. But in that sense, the move away from subsidies has been very important. So if you're pricing your fuel rationally, that is passing on the entire cost of the fuel to the consumer, you are inducing conservation. We saw it all over the place. We saw it in every country that dealt with the 2 oil shocks that we experienced in the 70s and the early 80s. And I think India is now in that situation of not wanting to, or sort of has moved away from buffering the consumer, although there are some merits to that approach as well, but buffering the consumer from oil price changes. So all of these, I think, will help over time. Whatever domestic resources can be developed. I mean, we don't have much onshore left. It's some in Rajasthan. The Bombay High is more or less exhausted. The eastern one is, as I said, viable at high prices, but then the investments that are made to extract it become difficult to justify. So I think that's a little way off. So demand side becomes very important. I think lots of steps are being taken in that direction.